How's it going, guys? This is Ketchup here once again, bringing you another video. And this could be, once again, different to the videos that I normally make. It's going to be talking about what it takes to be a character specialist in Mortal Kombat X. For those that may not know what a character specialist is, it's somebody that only uses one character, be it in tournament or just in general. You know, not everyone's going to play in tournament, not everyone's going to be a competitive player, and they just enjoy one character the most, and they just specialise in that one character and nothing else. In a tournament setting, however, being a character specialist means that, let's face it, not every character in the game ticks all matchups. You know, they don't tick all the boxes when it comes to matchups. There will be hard matchups for your character. It's like inevitable in fighting games. When you specialise in one character, this is where things can get a bit tricky, because if you play a character that covers all matchups, it's fine. It's rare, but it's fine. You can win with just that character. You know, you don't need to play anyone else, like Cabal, or, you know, if you're playing someone like Cabal in MK9, you don't have to worry about it. But if you're going to try and specialise as a character that has got difficult matchups, this is where things can get quite difficult for you, because, you know, if it's a bad matchup, you kind of just have to almost suck it up and just really grind that matchup and try and come up with as many answers as you can. But the reality is, it's still going to be hard. This is where things get different in MKX, because, you know, it's not just a character, it's a variation of a character. Each variation gives you a different tool set and different options that you can do. These options will vary from character to character. Quan Chi is pretty much primarily always going to be a keep away character. You know, Scorpion across the board is always going to focus on that sort of footsie style, vortexy, you know, mix up game. He's unchanged as well, you know. But this is where things can get different. I'm going to talk about basically how I tackle the game as a character specialist, because I only main Quan Chi. Quan Chi is the only character in the game that I main through and through. So basically, I'm just going to try and sit down with you guys, talk about all three variations. I'm going to try very hard not to sort of, you know, waffle on, as it were. But I really want to cover all three variations. But more importantly, how, because I've gone over all three variations, I feel like my character can't be counterpicked, and how each variation complements the next. So if you know, if something comes across which you feel like you need another tool set, you don't need to change characters. You can simply swap to variation and still be comfortable, still be right at home, but have the option that you want at the expense of something else. So we're going to talk about Summoner first. Let's just fight Kettle, why not? We're going to go into training mode. I'm going to very briefly run over all variations, what they do and what they're strong at, but more importantly, what they lack, and how the next variation will complement that. So we're going to talk about Summoner first. First things first, he has the best zoning in the game. I really don't think this is up for discussion. You see a bat land for a cost of a bar, an unbreakable 26% damage. Bear in mind there's a 3-second cooldown on this bat, so, you know, there's a few seconds before you can summon the bat again. But you can always, there are ways around it. So you can see the bat land, the meter burn rune uses up the sufficient time to summon the bat again. You know, you can do all kinds of things to make sure that you have a bat ready. Just make sure that you're doing some sort of attack during the cooldown, which allows you to summon the bat again. You can go low, you've got a fast mid, it can shoot a fireball, which is quite often overlooked. It's used in combos, but not very much in zoning, but you can, you know, you can loop these together. You can do something like, you know, air skull, fireball, meter burn rune into a rune. You know, that's really hard for the opponent to deal with, and there's so much stuff. If you look at the angle of which this goes, like, that's a lot of the screen that's been shut down. If they try and run in, you can just do a close rune. There's a lot of areas they really just have to block, and the second you see something hit, you get free damage, even if it's just a 16%. You know, you see the bat land, 16%, skull, meter burn rune, bat, and it's kind of like you just kind of keep daisy chaining these moves together, so the bat is always going to be available when something lands. And that's just, you know, that's just the zoning in general. It's very hard for most characters to get in. The reward is always going to be that Summoner Quan hasn't got amazing defensive options. I'll go into that in just a second. But we're going to talk about his Vortex. This is one of the things that Summoner does pretty much better than anyone else in the game. Summoner really has got the Cyrax syndrome from MK9, this touch of death. I touch you once and I can potentially win the round. You know, even the zoning we talked about. If I have a bat on deck and I see it, bear in mind this is really quick. This will whiff punish loads of things if whiffed from full screen. So Summoner, for example, can, you know, I can see something whiff, go for a bat into meter burn rune because it goes full screen, and then go into mix-ups, into Vortex. You know, it's just one of the things that you can do. It's very, very dangerous, but I'm going to quickly run over the Vortex real quick. It's, to be honest, Tom Brady is right. It is more than a 50-50. So if I reset you, I can go for a, you know, I'm going to go for a full combo here. This comes off a low option, one of its 50-50s. I'm going to reset the combo, and then 50-50 you, you know. Just one of the things that I can do, and then I'm going to go for, you know, a full combo in the corner, hard knockdown into bat, you know, low NGP if that's what I want to do, or I can just, you know, reset you again, and then go for this ludicrous damage that he gets access to, like this. Like this overhead bags you like, I'm fairly aware it's 59% damage. Like that's 58% damage for a bar into hard to blockable low overhead. And as you can see, the whole point of this is that you're mixing up your offense to like an insane degree. An absolutely insane degree. And it's just massive damage into massive damage, which is all coming off hard to blockable vortex stuff. It's not just a 50-50, because, you know, I can reset and then go for a 50-50 here. Or I can, you know, go for insane hard to blockables. I can do something like this, low overhead, instant low overhead. Or I can just opt to send you full screen, you know? I can just send you full screen and then start zoning you again. So he gets a lot of freedom over how many options he has when he is on the offensive. That is the strength that Summoner has always had, and, you know, who knows, probably will always have, who knows. This is Summoner in general. He has really good damage, some of the highest damage, if not the highest damage in the game, besides Blood God, obviously. But it's all off really hard to block mix-ups, which makes them so viable. It's what makes them so dangerous. If I real quick, just go reset position on the right, let's say I land a hit here. This is going to go meterlessly. So I'm just going to get a meterless damage first, and then go for this. So this is that really high damage combo, which started from an overhead, remember. This started from an overhead. And that's normally 58%, 59% if you land it. Obviously, I missed the end, and that still did 56%. And that was from full health, you can see the damage, which was from a 50-50 into another 50-50. So he had to guess there. He had to guess in that situation. That's the strength of Summoner. Very, very dangerous character. However, he does have what would be called a weak defense in the game. He has a good backdash. Bear in mind, you can never, ever shake a stick at a good backdash. This is really decent. You know, sometimes you can backdash something and then whiff punish with back 2. You can't always do it, but it's an option. If I was against Kotal Khan, for example, and he did, let's say he does something like, let's record him. Record AI. I block this. Can I backdash? No, I can't backdash. Is there a gap there? That is the question. This is when we will change to Warlock. These situations where you can't backdash, but you might be able to armor. Now, I'm not sure if they can armor. This is actually going to be me just testing it on the fly. I'm not entirely sure if this can be armored. It might not, but we'll try it. Yeah, there's a lot of blocks on that normal specifically. But a situation like this one, for example, let's record him again. Back 1, 2, 2 into low sword. Now, my down 1 on block is -9. So if he blocks this down 1, I pretty much have to block what he does next, which is that, for example, because I'm fairly certain that's a 9-frame mid right there. So if he blocks the down 1, he's pretty much guaranteed that, the back 1, which is this, which comes out, there you go, into one of his 50-50s. If I was in Summoner or Sorcerer, I would have to hold that 50-50. In Warlock, I don't have to hold the 50-50. I can get 30% damage for free, just because he went for one of his offensive options. So that's an easy 30% damage, 31%. Very simple to do, and it's only because Warlock has this reversal option, and that's actually very big with Warlock. The fact that in these normal situations where the opponent rushes you down insanely, so sometimes it's, you know, sometimes it comes from characters with really crazy rushdown, like Kobujitsu Tanya, Tempest Lao, Dragon's Fire Liu Kang, characters that when they get in on Quan, he really has to hold almost everything they can throw at him, unless you're in Warlock. You've got an armored reversal, and I can throw this out. This doesn't necessarily mean that Warlock is the answer to all of your defensive problems. However, in high-level matches against a smart opponent, when they know you have this option, they're gonna start respecting it. It's 11 frames on startup. This move was sped up in the recent patch. It's 11 frames on startup. Yes, it's unsafe on block, but the point is, now I have this option, and in a situation an opponent would normally just try and throw out constant offense, constant pressure. Now they have to worry about a reversal I can throw out, which means they will second guess certain situations where they would normally just go ham. They can't do that against Warlock. Sorry about that. They can't do that against Warlock. They have to respect this option. The second they start respecting the option, I get more defensive options than just, I have a reversal, I'm going to use it. If they're pressuring me, sometimes if I know they're going to wait for it, I can go for a grab. If I know they're waiting for it, I can go for a 50-50. Like, the second the opponent tries to press a button and then blocks, if they're going to try and pressure me, like, you know, if I was pressuring another Warlock, for example, let's go always. Let's say, just for argument's sake, I'm pressuring another Warlock. You know, in this situation where I would go for a jump into one of these options here, Quan would normally just kind of have to hold this. He would kind of have to hold this pressure. If I was against a Warlock, I'd have to be really careful. I'd do like a standing one to think a 50-50 is coming, and then I'd have to block, because if I thought he was going to reversal me, I would block on anticipation of a punish. If I know that, you know, the opponent's blocking, waiting for this to come out, I can grab them. Or even more dangerously, I can block and then go straight into a 50-50 on just to counter their offense, because I know they're waiting for a reversal, which gives me a free 50-50. Speaking of free 50-50s, it's not even like Warlock has bad offense anyway. Let's not forget that he gets this portal stab. If you guys watch my Warlock tutorial, you'll see everything. I'm not going to elaborate too much. You can just go watch the tutorial. But if I land a hit here, you know, I'm going to get 35% into what may as well be a guaranteed throw. So 35% damage plus 12% damage, 47% damage. That's a 47% one bar combo mid-screen, all because I landed my low starter, which is a 50-50. So that's one of the things you can do. Bear in mind, the opponent is never going to try and tech that grab unless it's super situational. Because the second they try and tech this grab, I'm going to go for the portal stab again. The second he tries to tech the grab, he's pressing buttons, which means he's not blocking, which means I can loop this back into itself. That's going to be 35% damage plus 35% damage. That's 70% damage just because he tried to take a grab. So in terms of offense, he gets the ability, it's not really the ability to put the opponent in a... He still gets the vortex, because the reality is, I land a portal stab and I can go for a 50-50. That is absolutely guaranteed. I have to spend bar to make it safe though, which is balanced. This is why Warlock is fairly balanced as a character. It's very meter intensive and he has to spend a bar to do that. But the point is, Warlock also gets an amazing set of tools on his own. He gets guaranteed 50-50s, guaranteed grabs, whatever you want to do. He gets this really, really good reversal, which leads into 35% damage. But he also gets good counter zoning. I mean, it's not going to do much versus Ketchup Khan, but, you know, skull into forward 3. The forward 3 comes out so insanely fast. That's a really good tool. He gets the head grab as well. He gets decent full screen options by himself. You know, he gets really, really decent zoning / counter zoning without needing things like Summoner's Bat or, you know, the ability to sit in armor like Sorcerer can. I still get these tools that I can use. And the fact is, Warlock is going to be meter intensive. A lot of things that you want to do with Warlock do require bar to do, which is one of the drawbacks of Warlock. He's a very meter intensive variation. However, if you want to play this game and you want to have that reversal option and you want the threat of it all the time, you can dedicate your game to building meter. Let's not forget, if he's blocking from full screen, and he blocks a skull into forward 3, that's a really nice chunk. That's pretty much a fifth of a bar just for a skull into a blocked forward 3. Because the skull gives me bar, blocking the skull gives me a bar, and the forward 3 on block gives me a bar as well. So, you know, he's always going to build meter from full screen anyway. Up close, I can build meter as well. 4-2-1-2, that's 3 hits, which will build a bar. It's safe on block as well. So you can always go for things like 4-2-1-2, which gives you 3 pieces of meter. After a combo, if I hit the opponent, you can whiff 2 head grabs. If the opponent's in the air, and I do 1-4-1, if I'm quick, I can whiff 2 head grabs, and that's 2 pieces of free meter. It's not loads of meter, but the point is, you're constantly building bar so that the second you get this defensive option, I can go for the grab, or if I know you're waiting for it, opens up offensive options for me, because I know that you're blocking. So that's Warlock. If I'm going to play Summoner or Sorcerer, and I know that someone has really good offense, and they're attacking me relentlessly, because they know that I have only a down 1 and a backdash, they can just go ham. They can really, really abuse this fact. Even if I'm in Sorcerer, Sorcerer does open up a different mindset though. So we know that Sorcerer is gonna, you know, Sorcerer and Summoner will be, you know, they have the same kind of neutral game besides the full screen bat. Where the variations come into play is when they land a hit. So if I land a hit with Sorcerer, I'm gonna do everything I can to push you into the corner. 4-2-1-2-2. run in 141, and when that lands, I can get armor. So just to quickly run over that again, I'm going to land a hit just like I will in Summoner or Warlock. Everything I can to push you into the corner, go for armor, and then, you know, zone in the armor, try and wait to see if you come in, see if you're going to potentially kill yourself. But the danger of Sorcerer is, whatever it takes, get the opponent in the corner. Because the second you push them into the corner, especially for someone like Ketchup, 141, I'm in armor, and that's it. You are now in a really, really bad situation. However, if you get me without the armor, if you can stop me from casting the armor, I'm just as helpless on the defense as Summoner is. This is why you would go to Warlock. So this video has probably gone on a bit longer than I wanted it to, but I don't really think it matters too much. Hopefully you guys have been able to stay with me. The point is, Quan Chi as a character cannot be counterpicked, because one variation, if it struggles at something, will complement the next one. So Warlock, for example, let's talk about Summoner. First things first, Summoner has amazing rushdown, amazing mix-ups, amazing zoning. And the danger of Summoner is that it doesn't cost much bar to do any of it. That's one of the strengths. Not very meter intensive, so he can break very often. However, he hasn't got a very good defensive game, and the opponent doesn't have to respect much. So, if you find yourself wanting that defensive option, you can change to Warlock. You change to Warlock, you now get these defensive options. You get the portal grab. On top of it down, you've got a 6 frame down 1, a really good backdash, and an armored reversal that you can use if they're going to try and pressure you, or even just to guarantee gaps in block strings. If you interrupt armor, if you interrupt gaps in block strings, the opponent then thinks twice about pressuring you as much as they would before. So Warlock, although very meter intensive, gives you the defensive options that you were lacking beforehand. So matchup specifically, you can find yourself picking Warlock and then going for these defensive options and still getting an amazing rushdown game. So, you know, this is obviously going to be 2 bars, but just to demonstrate, I land a hit, 1-4, portal stab. Oh, I didn't have any bar, that's why. But you guys get the idea. It's one variation giving you the tools of another, and that's why you would change. Sorcerer, it's the same kind of deal. You wouldn't really change from Sorcerer to Summoner or Summoner to Sorcerer in tournament, because they have really good offense by themselves, but they suffer the same weakness. You would play Summoner or Sorcerer first, and then pick Warlock if you want these defensive tools, and this is why Quan Chi can't be counterpicked. Every variation in the game that he has complements the next. They cover each other's weaknesses. So if you're in a situation where you want to, you want defense, you'll pick Warlock. If you want extreme offense, you'll pick Sorcerer or Summoner, and that's the bottom line. Hopefully I've been able to kind of shed some light on this, really, guys. I know I've kind of gone on for a little bit, but there's a lot to the character. What can I say? You know, these variations have a lot of variety to them, and that's a great thing about the game. It means the game's got depth, the game has life, and more importantly, you are rewarded for being a character specialist in MKX more so than you would be in any other Mortal Kombat game to date. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Hopefully that really helped to shed some light on what's, very hot for discussion right now. And that's that. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. I'll see you next time. Take care.